is... Oh, hold on a second. Still going live. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the OLSC Toronto show. My name's Azaz. And before I introduce my co-hosts, I will play the bumper. So here we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the OLSC Toronto show. Welcome, Dan. Welcome, Jake. Before we say or do anything, you know where I got to start. I got to start with this one because we are still celebrating being top of the league. Now, as fate would have it,
top of the league.
Exactly. As fate would have it, there was the international break where we were technically not top of the league. And one particular fan base let us know over and over again that we weren't top of the league by a few goals. The 33 goals they scored against Burnley and Sheffield United back to back. But anyway, we are back at the summit. Jake, Dan, how you folks feeling?
Daniel, son?
Pumped, like super pumped. Just reinvigorated after that performance. And you know what? I just want to say this off the bat. Winning 2-1 feels so much better than 7-0. Actually, you know what? Never mind.
A win is a win is a win is a win. But to your point, Daniel, son, De Zerbi's a good coach. We did some good things,
Finally beat really that man.
Thing. Yeah, we did some good things. So all in all, it's great to be a fan. It's great to be a Liverpool fan. We've had a great season. 9 games to go on the trot. So, where else can we be but top of the league?
Exactly. Because from now on, this is the thing. Like, if anyone had said at the start of the season, going into the last 9 games of the season, 27 points available, you're in pole position, every single person would have taken that. Like I wrote recently in our big WhatsApp chat, 75% of people would have said, no, that's impossible. We're doomed. We didn't do enough business in the summer. We didn't buy a overpriced number 6. All of the doom and gloom shit that we heard towards the end of last year's window. Regardless of anything, here we are, 9 games to go. Let's start with yesterday's match. So I think it's clear who the standout performer was. We've even put him on the thumbnail. Alexis McAllister, week by week, is just growing into having a legendary Liverpool season. I want you both to spend a few minutes talking about the man.
Daniel,
well, I'm actually just going to say first, before we talk about Mr. McAllister, we should talk a lot about Gerald Kwanzaa. Honestly, like, he put in a shift. He's been putting in shifts, performances. The man is 21. He was playing with Bristol. I mean, let's just get real here for a second. I think a lot more respect has to be on his name, especially the folks in the UK and England. I mean, he should be called up. He should be called up as a center back. Absolutely. He's better than, Jughead and, Refrigerator Head, and whoever else on the back line there. But anyway, that being said, full credit to Mr. Kwanzaa as well before that. And then, you know what? Like, I think there are a lot of Liverpool fans who've done a about face on him early in the season. Can he play the 6? He was put there out of position. He held his own. Really, really has a grittiness to him. And the one thing about him, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this as well, is that when he picks up a knock during a match, you feel like, oh man, he's broken a leg. He's broken something. He's out for the season, blah, blah, blah. And it looks pretty bad in some of those tackles, right? And then he just like magically, maybe it's a spray or something, imaginary spray, whatever that. Remember the old spray?
Yeah.
Like, he just gets the hell back up, and like he just keeps on going. I'm like, how many matches has he played? Like since the World Cup, let's just say, right from then on to now, he's for Brighton. Anyway, he's just been a revelation, and now in his natural position, everybody can see the quality that he has. Not that he didn't have that while playing a 6, but with him and Endo, I love the Klopp quote. I don't know if you guys read that as well, but just at the end of the match, the eyes. I mean, that I haven't seen the picture of it. I don't know if you guys seen that. I don't know. Anyway, but that was something just to behold, and that sort of understanding, I think, is one of the biggest things that you want as a Liverpool fan. Is you see, you see a midfield that just is telepathic, and that's one thing you see with him. Now Sobo is sort of getting back into that realm, but I think Endo and him are just two peas in a pod, as they say. Jake,
exactly.
I think from the Macca perspective, what is very interesting, just from an Argentinian,
no quanta talk.
just the Macca Argentinian perspective, like Enzo on Chelsea was 100 million pounds. Like just in comparison, I know the fact that, and he didn't have any Prem experience, was $100 million player. I don't know Chelsea is Chelsea and whatever it is, but we can do a comparison about those guys that were really starting for Argentina. That is crazy amount of money that we paid. Like, did we get another steal of the they've done some really great business. And of course, to your point, is as like the Liverpool fans shit on everybody. I know, because we're just fearful. We want the best. We totally get all that stuff. And we have no patience. A lot of the people have no patience to see how things are going to play out. If you knew what we knew now at the beginning, like, holy shit, like the buys, and of course, we're not talking about the kids yet, just the buys, generally speaking. Macca's on fire. He's like in there, and to your point, Dan, the body, like I thought, like the studs up here and there, he's getting hit all over the place. And I love the fact that he's not the hard man, but he's like the hard man, right? From that standpoint, where you like the fact that he's not pussyfooting around, he's doing his thing. He's making fantastic balls and plays and passes. So like he's got some vision on the side of his head. He's like, oh, Salah's gonna run around the corner. He's gonna do this, or Bradley or whomever, and you're like, oh shit, he made that pass. And when we're looking from the fan perspective, we're not even seeing that pass, right? On some occasions, and you're like, this is great vision, and to have him just, he did some really good tenure in Brighton for sure, and they blooded him quite well. And then now he's with, a different quality set, and you can see that, right? And like he's popping in with some goals. He's got a great heart, like great heart, and he likes the squad, right? He loves the squad. He loves the surroundings. He's got the eye to eye from Endo. Endo's Japan captain, like and this they're from different walks of earth, and they're just together as one. And it's such a like galvanizing thing to be like, all right, I got you, you got me, I got you, and actually those conversations play themselves out on the pitch, and it's for us, it's wonderful.
He's done also a lot of media as well, right? I mean, just recently he's done a lot of interviews, and so he's really sort of embraced the Liverpool living and club and everything about it. And like you look at a play like Darwin, and this is no disrespect to Darwin, he's a younger, well, they're both young, but like McAllister has a bit more of a command of English, but then also he then plays the part of translator to the South Americans, for example, Diaz and Nunez and stuff like that. And so like you can see he's not just like obviously a great player, but he's also a great leader, person, holds people's hands, similar to Alisson as well, right? I mean, he did that with the Brazilians as well, brought them along, so it's just like it's really great to see that continuity from a first year player in our squad. Like, just think about that for a second. He's first year. Azaz, like, I mean, just you being such a massive.
You know a lot of folks around the world. How do you think that McAllister is looked at now that from an Argentinian perspective, like first spot, right? Like,
So just to touch on a couple of the things you folks said first. So firstly, I actually, and Roham and I, shout out Roham and I have got a joke whenever he goes down, we know he's okay. He's finally got a little bit of that like needle where he knows how to win a free kick. We've been so traditionally naive, including Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, like we've been so too nice, way too nice. And even yesterday, we wanted Van Dijk to start talking and intimidating Coot a bit more because Brighton were doing it, and it's easy to say, oh, like we don't want to play like that and stuff, but like at least meet them halfway. So firstly, I love that bit about him. Secondly, this is probably an end of season debate. And, if you're watching this, I know we've already had a few comments, which is so cool from our community. If you're watching this, we should do at the end of the season, regardless of what happens, an all-time Liverpool Premier League 11 based on one season. So it's not like Gerrard's body of work. It's like Gerrard in 08-09 or like, Suarez in 13-14, not the whole of Suarez. I think this season's Alexis McAllister gets in, and I don't care who you're dropping other than Stevie. Like, in my opinion, one season, he gets ahead of Mascherano. He gets ahead of Alonso. And I'm not just saying that because, like Alonso's an all-time favorite of mine. And I do believe he will one day manage Liverpool. I don't think that it's game over. It's just not now kind of thing.
I agree.
I think he gets in ahead of the Brexit midfield, who I love all of them. Like, that's just what they were colloquially known as. This one season of Alexis McAllister is elite. It really is. And the fact that he's able to keep hold of the ball off anyone, like, we have yearned for that player who anybody looks for. It was meant to be Thiago, and we saw glimpses of it, but obviously the injuries and the inconsistency of performances due to injuries, just doesn't really come into it. And Alexis has got that. So huge kudos to that. And then the question about how the rest of the world sees him, I think South America sees him really, really favorably. In the UK, obviously there's a bit of an anti-Liverpool bias. There's a pro-your-own club bias. And then people take a little bit of time to catch on too. So like right now, it's like I've seen conversations and debates of like, Odegaard is clear, like the way they talk about that. Really? Like, really? Like, you're really going to say Odegaard is clear of a guy who's won the World Cup, right? Yeah. So now, let's say, for example, Alexis McAllister is a star man of a team who wins the Premier League, if we win the Premier League, for example, and he's won the World Cup. Odegaard is clear? Like, are you crazy? So I think in the English Premier League world, he's still not seen as favorably. Like, how he's not in the conversation of player of the year and all these things blows my mind. But from what I have heard in, and I'm going to send this clip to one of my friends in Calgary, who's a Mexican soccer fan. He is an Arsenal fan, actually. And he loves McAllister. He absolutely loves him. And he, talks about how he used to watch him at Argentinians Juniors. And then I jokingly said yesterday, oh, and his Boca cameo. And he checked me and goes, yeah, he was only there for a minute. So like there are a lot of people who are really knowledgeable about what Alexis is and what he stands for. But the last thing I'd say about this, Jake, is the proof's on the pitch. Like, if you watch football and you've watched Liverpool from December and you don't think Alexis McAllister is outstanding, like, I can't help you in that. You can't, like, Jake can't help you, Dan can't help you, we can't help you.
Yeah, so, no, I see your point, Azaz, and I echo it as well. I think one of the things that plays against him in a way is that who are his teammates, right, in club or country? And he gets overshadowed by that, right? Like, he does get overshadowed. Now, not the position, because in the position that he plays in Argentina, obviously Messi's not with him on that level. I mean, he plays more forward, but he links up well with Enzo and him. And Enzo plays really well for Argentina, and obviously not Chelsea. And there's a dysfunction there. But with club, it's Mo Salah who gets the plot. It's maybe some Nunez in there. It's Van Dijk, it's Trent. So it's like he's not the main guy. But if you took him away, and we did take him away for a little bit, we sort of, or when he was like sort of injured, we did sort of struggle. Again, Endo wasn't bedded in and all that kind of stuff. But no, it's a great point. And I feel like now he's starting to get the talk because Liverpool are where they are, and he's the one consistent guy who's really been in. Knock on wood, by the way. Find some wood here, but yeah, that he'll be able to sort of see this out and play the last 9, right? But yeah, like, what a credit to him. And the most impressive thing about him, I feel, is just like he's played like almost every 3 days for the past like I don't know 4 months, which is insane. Just club, country, everything. You're like, how's this guy still? Anyway, I digress. But
No, it's cool. And any other last words on yesterday? We can talk about Kwanzaa, we can talk about Mo, who, didn't have his best game at all yesterday and yet still scored the winner. Diaz
was amazing.
Lionheart, yeah.
Diaz was amazing yesterday. Played really
anyone,
well.
Anyone deserve any more? Yeah, very much
I
so.
do with not to overshadow that perspective, but I love Endo is a little bit of a little bit of a tiger
cult hero
in there. I just can't believe from his physical stature, right? Like he's not a big man. He's strong as shit. Like he's physically gifted from that standpoint. He's looks like a rock. He's just nimble, gets into the space, puts the shoulder into the body, shields what he needs to shield, and like remarkably since the beginning of his campaign, which we were like, oh shit, what did we do? Relatively speaking, and not giving him that chance dynamic to today, and looking at that like player of 30 years old, Japanese captain, old Stuttgart captain, and like again, that's another steal. And you'd be like, he just fits in so seamlessly. It gives the latitude to the other players to do their thing, and which is like something that you pine for. Whereas like as a defensive midfielder, if you can hold fort with those people, of course, in that you can imagine the mentality where you're playing in front of Virgil. I'm not even talking about any of the other center backs with him. You know that as a defensive person, you can have the ability to fuck up maybe once or twice because he may be able to clean up that mess. Then your fear factor as a player is completely different because you know that there's rock behind you. So you get a little bit of leeway. Maybe you do some things that maybe slightly out of your box, right? To do things and take some chances. But I do like the spine aspect of our team holistically. I don't care if it's Kelleher from that standpoint to the Becker perspective, and all up and down that perspective is just super solid. And that is like a mark of the Liverpool teams over the years, that you had this like level of spine to be like, I don't care who you are, I'm going to take you out, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to do this and make you look silly. And this is what's actually happening. And you got to give Endo some great plaudits for the work that he puts in. And he just seems like such a humble guy. I know like he's very active off the pitch with his 5 children, but seems like a very humble guy. And we're glad to have those people and those personalities, or lack thereof, that just seamlessly fit into the squad. You don't hear any negative news. It's great. And go, Jan. You're again, get in there.
No, I was just gonna say some quick fire on the match, and we'll move on. But I was just gonna say Bradley kind of struggled in a way because they were targeting him early. I felt that he sort of grew into the match later on as he had more cover. I felt Queeve has been like just again like continuity. If you're talking about like solidity, one of the big things with Endo and like when they link up, building up play from the back, like have you noticed how much Queeve feels super confident playing that ball in the middle of the park to Endo and back, and then rotating that around to Kwanzaa looking super comfortable playing it to either Gomez or not Gomez, but Bradley. It's just like how they practice that, the poise on the ball. Yes, the press is not fully there at Anfield, especially not going to get an entire sort of on you, but at the same time, like just the way in which we play. And then lastly, just like the subs, like I don't know, man, like Jota's coming back, Ali potentially Trent, like beware, like what I'm saying, like beware what you wish for. If you like, if you're doubting Liverpool, like like Stevie once said, all the best. So anyway, move on from that.
Very much so. Well, I mean, if we are moving on, then I have a banner prepped here. So Jake.
Whoa.
Ooh, big things.
Big things are going.
Talk us through Thursday.
So we collectively at LFC Toronto have put in some like a hell of a lot of work for the last couple of years to get us the best things we can, and to get as close to Liverpool, a parent club, as possible. And we've organized the biggest thing we've had in our tenure, which is this, through Carlsberg, one of our partners and vendors, a paid, all expenses paid. You've got a transfer for 4 people, flights, tickets to the last match, Klopp's last Premier League match, which we're going to draw. Carlsberg, or so the pub will draw on Thursday. 4 lucky winners. And we're literally making people's dreams come true. And this is just the biggest thing to come out of our club. I cannot tell you. And I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to be surprised if people don't cry if they win. And this, I'm just saying, anybody, please, make sure whoever gets drawn, your passports are ready. You're on point.
Yeah.
You've got the time. We're gonna go. It's momentous to be at the Wolves game. Jurgen's, last match with in the Carlsberg Lounge, the Carlsberg experience. It's just fantastic, and this is the biggest thing we have done for our club and community, and it's fantastic that we're able to do this with Carlsberg.
This would be the last match of club at Anfield, right?
Yeah.
Think about that.
And
let that sink in. Wow.
Yeah. And as it stands at the moment, it's Klopp's last match because, it is easier said than done to assume we're just going to be in the Europa final because obviously there's a lot of football to be played there.
Mm-hmm.
So, technically, yes, it's the last game of the season. Potentially, there will be potentially a title on the line as well. And also, of course, unless we know what's happening with the Europa, it could also be the very last game of Jurgen's tenure. Very, very, very cool.
Wow.
Thanks for taking us through that, Jake. So doors open at 12, I believe, this Thursday?
Just shy of that. Yeah, 12 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some great, we got some door prizes. There's buy £1 of wings, get another pound. There's beer specials.
Wings, yes. Come for lunch.
Beer specials, $5 Carlsberg pints, $2 off some of the other ones. So it's going to be a great event. Again, this is the best thing we've ever done, and we're just scratching the surface. There's way more big things to come with this.
We're also launching this.
But big thanks.
Yes. Look at that, fantastic.
Wow, look at that.
We're also launching.
Look at
sneak peek. Well, it's out now, right? It's been in the newsletter, so I was
that's true.
I'll stick one of these on. Why not?
No, but just live in the flesh, someone actually wearing it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. By the way, big shout out to Carlsberg, our partner and sponsor for that massive giveaway. This is crazy. So yeah, shout out to them.
Very, very cool. Okay, so let's look forward to the game then. So obviously loads of stuff happening on Thursday. The big draw. We got food specials, drink specials, the t-shirt drop. But obviously the reason we're convening on Thursday is the huge next game in this big 9 that is left, 27 points to play for. How are you feeling? Surely confident about this one. Obviously, don't want to be too presumptuous, but with the form we're in, with the number of chances we're making as well, sure, you can call us wasteful, but the fact that we make that many chances. I'll start with Dan on this one. So tell me what your starting at 11 would be for this one.
Yeah, I think the starting 11 that started, I would say the only thing. Actually, no. The one small change would be okay. So I guess Queef, Kwanzaa, Verge, Bradley and Gomez. I'm not even sure though. Actually, Gomez, we might even start Simi, I think, in that match. And then midfield, I think it's probably best if we rest one of them, like Maka, and play Gravenberch or something like that, especially at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just a more offensive, but he can also play pivot as well. It's Sheffield at the end of the day. I mean, let's get real here. Watching them play Arsenal and obviously at home there, that was just like a capitulation. I'm still expecting some sort of match, but again, I wish we could just sort of play our game, put it to bed early if that's possible, and again, not counting our chickens before they hatch. But the rest of the up top, I would say start Mo, start Nunez, start Diaz, or even Gakpo or something like that. Just bag the goals. That's what we want. Bagging goals. Goals galore. Just get that goal difference back, if you know what I'm saying. So this is not Palace 13-14 where we thought, we might overcome the goal difference in one match and then draw on that same match. But anyway, yeah, it has a similar feeling in that sense. So.
And Jake, would love to hear your thoughts on that game, but also The fact is that on the same night after we kick off, it's Man United versus Chelsea. So in regards of the Sunday, we're actually, even though we're going away to Old Trafford, we're actually in a slightly better position because we have a easier, definitely on paper, home game. And Man U are actually going to Stamford Bridge after us on Thursday, and then have to make that trip. So, do you think that that could be a factor? And any other thoughts you may have on Thursday's game?
Yeah, of course. I think that when you're, in the Premier League, a lot of the teams start to play up and down to the levels of their squads. In this case, they've got to play up. You know, I thought this over the weekend that West Ham was going to do a number and catch them on points. That didn't happen. But like literally, they're in the same. If they want to qualify and they want to take the next levels for their squad, they've got to play their ace day team. They've got to do the things they need to do, and they've got to play hard against an up and down Chelsea. You don't know who's going to be present that day and which team kind of shows up from the Jekyll and Hyde season, but they have to put their good foot forward, and they've been pretty like up and down from their season perspective. They've got some good people that have been, injuries, all that kind of stuff, but they've got to do it, right? And then it's hard to do that when you're playing a rival like that and have your one eye on us and say, like, who will start? Do they need rest? Do they have injuries? How are they going to play that perspective? So, I'm glad that they're going to be, because Chelsea hopefully will give them a fight. We'll put in the tackles, we'll do their thing because they don't want to get embarrassed. It is one of those old firm kind of rivalries from back in the days, right? So even though the positions in the table may not like look like that, but the rivals are the rivals no matter what. So I expect them to put a good foot forward from that standpoint. And of course, going down to the Sheffield perspective, like, it's hard to, on paper from that, I imagine from a coach, you look at Sheffield and be like, how many changes can I actually make to disrupt the flow of the team and keep them fresh for that weekend? Like that's the eye that we would have as well from that standpoint. Not downplaying Sheffield because sometimes in the past those teams gave us a shit kicking, and we don't want to go down there. We're not taking them lightly for sure. But to all of your points, who does make that squad and who does represent us on that day is going to be very interesting. And of course we have to, I think based on the FA dynamic and how we played on that game, we should have won. We didn't win. We lost. I think this is going to be, I'm hoping, another 7-up kind of dynamic from that standpoint on the weekend. Of course, I want us to put, they've got Mason Mount and a few things that they didn't have before, so they're looking very different. I don't give a shit, whatever. But, it's us. We're against we're our own worst enemies, and I expect us to put our best foot forward on Sunday. With the squad we have, and I hope we just beat the shit out of them for lack of a better, right? And that's to the Chelsea Man U rivalry. This is ours as well, right? So, they're a shadow of us at the moment, but I think we should look at that and hopefully, please, if we'll be clinical in this context.
Yeah,
let's take our chances.
It's crazy to think this though. So all your points are valid. And also, it's a mid-table clash. It's 6th versus 11th. Like, I know I'm being facetious there, but at the end of the day, they're just facts.
What it is.
The other thing that's really interesting is the big difference between Manchester United and Chelsea this season is that United have won a lot of games at the end that Chelsea haven't. They've actually both lost around an equal amount of games, and their goal difference is very similar too. So that really literally means that the only difference is all of those like they almost did the other day. Man U have been able to like show that character and win those tight games because the goal difference is almost identical and the defeats are the same. So the only discrepancy is the wins and the draws, which is interesting because it shows that they're a lot closer. I do think that Chelsea they're able to chuck one in, of course, but they're also able to show up like they did against Man City both times, I believe. But certainly at Stamford Bridge, they put on a bit of a performance as well. So would love to see some of that, keep Man United honest. And then the last thing is I almost feel like as much as it hurt on the day and in the coming days after that, because we got an international break, it's almost like fact that this group of players has been to Old Trafford already recently and kind of like got that in their system a little bit can only help us, because no matter how feral the atmosphere is or isn't, Old Trafford can be a bit hit or miss. I definitely feel that they're all a lot better about the fact that they've played there already, and this time we don't have to pace it for maybe 120 minutes. We also don't have to worry about the fact that we have certain players not playing. Everyone who's going to be available is around. So, Mo will start. He played the whole game the other day and whatnot. And then the last thing about the United thing is there's a title to be won. Take all the emotion away from it being your rival, wanting to get you back, wanting to get them back for the FA Cup, blah, 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 all of that stuff. At the end of the day, like, I think the Anfield Wrap, our boys at the Anfield Wrap were saying, if we win these 2 next games, it's a huge statement, because not only does it then make it to 8, it's like we've done our best. We've done our hardest game in this run, which is Man United away, just historically. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I feel you still have to throw the form out the window. It's that sort of tentative start. But I feel like the biggest thing for us is just being clinical. Like that 5-0 away a couple of years ago was just a lesson on clinicalness. If you want to, if that's even the right words.
It is now. It's a word now.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah.
So no, it's looking forward to it. And I feel like there's trust. There's a lot of friends who you have, or acquaintances or whatever else, who've just chatted a lot of shit over the past like two or 3 weeks. So I know a lot of Liverpool fans. Obviously, we all do, and we all just are like waiting for this game. Usually, we're not too enthused. Yeah, you never know what can happen, but I think confidently we are waiting this game, chomping at the bit.
The last thing I'll say as well is, and then Jake, take us home with the news of the Red Day, is the rest of April starts to really open up. So it's like Atlanta, Palace at home, Atlanta, Fulham away, Everton away, West Ham away. Now that week is going to be
tough,
horrible, because it's all 3 away games. But like on paper, if you had to win away games at this point of the season, like you should be beating Fulham and West Ham. I'm not saying we will, because you got to give every team their due, and we certainly weren't winning those away games last season, and we were even struggling with some of the away games at the start of this season. So I'm not saying we're going to win them, but technically on paper, if you had to have away games, they're the kind you would want. Everton's going to be horrible, like we know that.
Do you know what though? Last point. is that like, I don't know if you've seen the recent punditry calls, predictions, like the whole round of predictions right now, and the title race and 9 matches left and all this kind of stuff. Like, it seems like everyone, including, the supercomputer on Opta and all that, are predicting Liverpool now as favorites, and, we're slight favorites and or favorites. But I mean, if you think about it this way, and I've been thinking about it a lot, obviously, is like Arsenal and City, especially City, but let's say Arsenal too. They have to be near perfect. Like, I would say that like both of them have to be near perfect. Say they drop, say they lose. Let's just, God forbid they lose. Let's just say, right? I mean, not God forbid, but just they lose. That means that they would be like 5 or 6 points back. Like, that's enough buffer to be confidently like, you know what, we can just play like without any real fear or anything like that. Or even if you draw. So like, it's really on them. And yes, you could say they could all win all of their games and all that kind of stuff. But then you throw in the European fixtures. You throw in what else that they, it's not as easy as it looks. And I think definitely their squads are going to be tested. So let's just see. Anyway, last thought on that.
On that point, Dan, I don't give a shit about any other team. It's in our destiny, and then we control that, and that's all that counts.
True.
They can do whatever they want. They can play up, down, all around, whatever else. We will just continue to win these last 9 games, and then that's it. Call it. That's
okay.
Why
even have this then? Okay, that's just like on the spot right now.
No, I mean, the thing is that like I'm not one to talk about other teams. I don't give a shit what they do, what they don't do. I couldn't care less. I love our squad.
The
and then they
revenge
know our
match.
squad, and I have utmost confidence as we do, and the rest of them can go.
We
Anyway.
have a question from our loyal audience here, saying this is from James. Shout out James. Got a score prediction for the revenge match against United boys. Well, Zaz, throw it to you. What do you think?
2-0. I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0.
I think we are not going to be as wasteful as we were last time, and we scored more goals than that the other day, but at Old Trafford. But obviously that included extra time as well. I'm going to go with a 2-0. I kind of feel like we have to start fast. We have to start as the alpha team. I think it's too easy to be passive at Old Trafford for Liverpool, and yet simultaneously, from the very first game of this season, I think it was Wolves, we've seen teams go to Old Trafford and bully Man United. Awesome. And, that was the 5-0. That was the 4-1 or 4-2 the year earlier when we finished third with our two kids and Ozan Kabak in the centre back. So the whole point there was bully. We have to do that again. Don't give them any respect. Don't give them time. They're going to play counter-attack anyway, which is a whack way to play at home if you're a big team, but it is what it is. So from my perspective, I reckon we can and will win this one 2-0.
Dan?
Me, I think it's a win. I honestly think it's like a 3-0 or 4-0 win. I think it's going to be one of those where we really, really turn up, and there's no prisoners, no fear, no prisoners. And yeah, I really feel that way. I don't know. Could be wrong, but yeah. What do you think, Jake?
I think based on what I watched this weekend against the Brentford thing, I was just very gutted that played itself the way it did. But Brentford pressed them and did everything that we want to do against them. And to the bully perspective, they just were not clinical from that standpoint. I'm going back and forth between a 2-0 and a 3-0 or 3-1. I don't know if we'll get something jammy. I hope that doesn't happen from that standpoint for them. But I think that a different team will show up that day. And that's my expectation of this squad. And I think we will win. Either 3-0 or 3-1 is my prediction from that standpoint.
I love it. Well, you see it scrolling across the bottom right after the I Feel Fine party on Thursday. We will then be having a red day on Sunday, so it'll be same as normal. Watch out for the socials. There is going to be timed entrances. There is going to be wristbands. It's going to be mental on Sunday. It's actually going to be mental on Thursday too. But isn't this what we're in it for? Isn't this why we follow this great team of ours? Isn't this why we follow this great manager of ours? So thanks for everything that our community does. I kind of feel like this last little run now is going to be possibly the time of our lives. And obviously it's going to be very sentimental as well, because we know what's coming at the end of it. So come out to the games. If you can't come out to the games, then join us on, the socials and the WhatsApps and the YouTubes. Like, we want to hear from you. But yeah, I think that's all she wrote for today. So from my side, peace, and boys, any last words?
And shout out to Daniel and Sly Fox. So we can expect a couple hundred in the Sly Fox crew down there.
Yes,
and then probably about 400 or 500 at Elephant Castle. So if you know, unfortunately we've got some things that happen where some people are disappointed, but unfortunately there's only so much capacity. So please do arrive early. Hopefully the weather is okay. Yeah, and the weather is okay, and Sam will be at the door with a few of us just to make sure everything's okay. But just please arrive early. We can't state that enough, because if you want to get in, please do that.
It's going to be sunny. Feels like 11 on Sunday. So, beautiful. Yeah, come early. See y'all. Peace, guys. See you on Thursday.